Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. So in just a few moments' time, I'm going to be catching up with our Director of News, Tony Delahunty, about somebody who was absolutely amazing when it comes to football. But first, I'm going to play you a burst of this.
Just a boy from the country of Ireland, and I knew I could make you shine. Cause you move like a downtown dancer, with your hair hung down like a mane, and your feet play tricks like a juggler, as you weave to the sound of your name. Georgie, Georgie, they call you the Belfast boy. Georgie, Georgie, they call you the Belfast boy. They say Georgie, Georgie.
Yeah, we are talking George Best on the show. 20 years to the day since his death, and Tony Delahunty joins me on the line right now. Firstly, Tony, I can't believe 20 years has passed.
Yeah, that's just, I'm in a good old friend of mine's place here, Brian Radford. Well, it's not his place, it's his son's place now. And I was just saying I was coming on air with you to discuss George Best, and they both said, both he and his wife said that it's not 20 years, and then they just thought, well, it must be. So there you are. But, yeah, and Bestie, of course. I've never been a Man United fan, but when I left a radio station not a million miles from here, it no longer exists as it was Radio Trent, I went down to London Broadcasting, and I was the presenter and commentator, or one of the commentators. And the guy I was paired with, I'd been used to working with the likes of Larry Lloyd, Gary Birtles, people like that, when I was covering the likes of Nottingham Forest and whatever. And I was told that the first commentary I would be doing that week, and the man I would be joining would be the one and only George Best. And it was a thrill. I mean, I'd seen him play so many times, seen him on television, all sorts of things. And to actually have him as the co-commentator was something else. And he was something else of a character as well, Ian.
Well, a real treat. And, yeah, obviously you worked with him numerous times down there when you were working for LBC. Tony, what kind of a man was he?
Well, you hear so many different stories, and you hear the story of George Best and alcohol and that type of thing. I haven't got a single story like that, because I'll tell you why. I never had that experience. I found him away from when he was doing the commentary or whatever. I found him quite shy in a way. I mean, I'd heard so many different stories of things he'd done and things he'd done wrong and whatever, and how he'd not turned up and how he'd stalked off and whatever. But he never once let me down. I was very lucky. We weren't friends. Don't get that idea now. Yeah, I worked with George Best. He was a friendly acquaintance. I really enjoyed working with him, but we weren't close friends. There's a slight difference. But one of my colleagues down there, another excellent commentator, much better commentator than me, he was totally infatuated by the thought of working with George Best all the time. And on a couple of occasions, things didn't quite go so well for him. But I only speak as somebody as I know them, and everywhere I went with him, he had the utmost respect. He did have a bit of charm, though, and on a couple of train journeys, he'd only travel first class because he didn't want too many people to be talking to him all the time, because he wasn't afraid of talking to people, and he was very nice to people when they spoke to him. But it can happen too often. So when we travelled first class by train and whatnot, some incredible things happened when ladies used to approach him wanting sort of autographs in various parts of their body and whatnot. And not from me, of course. They didn't want anything from me at all.
You once told me a story about when you went with him to Old Trafford. Can you share that with us this afternoon?
Yeah, that was utterly amazing. Going back to Georgie Boy's place, where he was totally loved. I mean, we arrived at Old Trafford. People who know Old Trafford, I was sitting next to one at the dinner I was speaking at last night. Paul Henshaw is the chairman of the Labour Party in Mansfield. People who are Man United fans adore the memory of George Best. But he was well alive then. He was commentating with me on LBC. And we arrived, the programme was due to start at 2:00. We arrived in the car park for the press, which was about 100 yards from where you go up the stairs in Old Trafford, where you get the lift and go up to the commentary box. And as soon as we got out of the car, I had to get the equipment out of the back of the car, and we were surrounded by people, and they could see, Bestie's here, there's George. And they were all over, the kids were all over, swarming all around us, and autograph books were pushed out, everything was... But 2-3 hours before kickoff, Man United has got its shops open, it's like a little city in its own right. We couldn't move hardly. We'd get, about 5 or 6 feet on. We'd break away from that bunch. He'd speak to anyone who spoke to him. He'd sign the autographs and so on. It got till it was 5 minutes to 2, and I'm pulling him on his sleeve. We're making about a yard every 5 minutes or something. And I get him to the gate, and I pull him inside, and he just signs one more autograph, and then we go up. And it's about 30 seconds to the time of going on air. And the producer at the other end, it was Michael Parkinson's son. He was the producer at LBC at the time. He said in my ears, "Where the hell have you been?" I said, "Well, it's Georgie. Everybody wants to get his autograph." So anyhow, I was puffing and panting. We got started. We did the programme. And then the most remarkable thing happened. At 2:30, when the Man United PA announcer, who would normally in those days announce the two teams, I think it was Man United and Chelsea or something like that. I can't remember the actual game it was. He was about to start doing it, and he did this. And he said, all Old Trafford fans, all you fans who have come up from London as well, he said, we want to celebrate most of all our own beloved Georgie. Georgie's here. And George stood up, and the stadium stood up. Whether they were Man United fans, whether they were fans that had come up with a club from London or whatever, they all stood up. They all applauded. Bestie just stood there waving to everybody concerned. And he sat down again, having almost strangled me, because he had the microphone lead round his shoulder. And as he stood up, he was yanking me out of the seat. And I'm trying to keep in touch with the radio station and speak on airways. So Georgie Best nearly strangled me, but what a remarkable man he was. What a remarkable footballer he was. And I remember once, I'll finish on this one if I may, Ian. I took my son, who was competing in a kart race for the British Championship the following day, and we were going to be at a circuit not a million miles away from Brands Hatch, and I'd had to take him with me to do the commentary, and we met Georgie outside. He didn't really know Georgie Best very much at all, did Andrew, at that time. And I said to him, "Is there any way he can go, or should he sit in the car during the game?" He said, "No, I'll arrange something." He went to see the secretary of the club, Queen's Park Rangers, off this road, and he made certain that my son had somewhere to watch the game from in the stand. And the other thing that George Best did, and I worked with some great commentators, I worked with Ron Atkinson, I worked with Larry Lloyd, no longer on this planet. At half-time, we can't leave our seats in the box where we're commentating from, whereas the rest of the press, they go down to the press room and have sandwiches or samosas, maybe a drink or whatever. And of all the people I ever worked with, only one man walked back up the stairs with a plate of food. And I said to him, "George, did you not get a chance to eat the food there?" He said, "Tony, this is for you. You're working hard here. I've had something down there." Lovely, lovely, lovely man.
Manchester 103.2, Terry Delahunty, remembering George Best 20 years on after his death. Fantastic footballer and indeed the Belfast boy.
Georgie, Georgie, they call you the Belfast boy. Georgie, Georgie, they call you the Belfast boy. They say, "Georgie, Georgie, keep your feet on the ground. Georgie, Georgie, when you listen to the sound. Georgie, Georgie, put a light on your name. Play the game. Play the game, boys, play the game."
Mansfield 103.2 with Tom Bowler, proud